Once upon a time, in a quaint coastal village named Harbor's End, there lived an old fisherman named Elias. He was a weathered man, his skin etched with wrinkles from years of battling the sun and sea. Elias was a man of few words, but his eyes told stories that the villagers loved to hear. One crisp morning, as the sun's golden rays pierced through the horizon, Elias set out on his weathered fishing boat, the Salty Maiden. He was joined by his young apprentice, Thomas, who was eager to learn the art of fishing from the old master. Elias, with his hands calloused from countless hours of handling nets and hooks, steered the boat into the open waters. The sea breeze filled the air with the salty scent of adventure. "Thomas," Elias began, breaking the silence that enveloped them. "Fishing is more than just catching fish. It's about understanding the sea, its moods, and its secrets." Thomas nodded, eager to soak up every word of wisdom from his mentor. "I've heard tales of your legendary catches, Elias. What's your secret?" Elias chuckled, his eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. "Ah, lad, there's no one secret to it. It's a dance between man and nature. You'll learn to read the waves, the birds, and the currents. But remember, patience is the greatest virtue of a fisherman." As the hours passed, Elias shared stories of his youth, of the days when he was as eager as Thomas to conquer the sea. He spoke of great storms that threatened to swallow his boat and of the serenity of sunrise on calm mornings. The sun reached its zenith, and the day wore on. Their nets yielded a bountiful catch of silvery fish, shimmering like jewels in the sunlight. "Thomas," Elias said, his eyes fixed on the shimmering sea, "every catch is a gift from the sea. Treat it with respect, and it will provide for you." The young apprentice listened intently, the sun-kissed wind ruffling his hair. "Elias, have you ever thought of retiring? You've seen so much of the sea. You deserve some rest." Elias smiled, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of memories. "Retire? What would an old fisherman like me do on dry land? The sea, Thomas. She's my true home. As long as I can stand and cast a net, I'll be out here." Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Elias and Thomas deepened. The old fisherman taught his young apprentice not only the art of fishing, but also the lessons of life. They spoke of dreams and fears, of love and loss, as the endless horizon stretched before them. One evening, as they prepared to return to Harbor's End, a sudden storm brewed on the horizon. Dark clouds gathered, and the sea roared in fury. Thomas looked at Elias, concern etched on his face. "Elias, we should head back. The storm looks fierce." Elias, however, wore a determined expression. "We have one more catch to make, Thomas. I can feel it in the winds." Reluctantly, Thomas obeyed. They cast their nets one last time, hoping for a miracle. Lightning forked through the sky and rain began to pour in torrents. The storm grew more savage by the minute. As they struggled to pull their heavy net, Elias stumbled, the force of the waves knocking him off balance. Thomas rushed to his side, helping him back up. "Elias, we have to abandon this catch. It's too dangerous," Thomas urged. But Elias, his eyes reflecting a fierce determination, shook his head. "No, Thomas. We've come too far to turn back now. We'll weather this storm together." Their arms ached and their bodies were drenched, but they continued to haul in the net. Lightning flashed around them and thunder roared like the wrath of an angry sea god. Their arms ached and their bodies were drenched, but they continued to haul in the net. Lightning flashed around them, and thunder roared like the wrath of an angry sea god. Finally, with a mighty heave, they brought the net on board. It was heavy with fish, a miraculous catch that would sustain the village for weeks. Elias and Thomas shared a triumphant, weary smile. As the storm began to relent, they turned their boat back toward Harbor's End, the setting sun casting a warm, golden glow on the horizon. "Elias," Thomas said, his voice filled with admiration, "you were right. We weathered the storm, and look at what we've gained." Elias nodded, his eyes filled with pride. "Thomas, never forget this day. Sometimes the greatest rewards come when you refuse to give up." Back in Harbor's End, the villagers marveled at the miraculous catch brought in by Elias and Thomas. The story of their bravery and determination spread like wildfire through the village, turning the old fisherman into a legend. Years passed, and Elias continued to fish, his strength unwavering, his spirit unyielding. Thomas grew into a skilled fisherman himself, but he never forgot the lessons he had learned from his mentor. One calm evening, as they sailed side by side, Elias turned to Thomas, a twinkle in his eye. "Thomas, the time has come for you to captain the salty maiden. I've taught you all I know, and it's your turn to carry on the legacy." Thomas was both honored and saddened by the passing of the torch. "Elias, I'll do my best to make you proud." Elias smiled, his eyes filled with contentment. "I have no doubt about that, lad. The sea has a way of shaping us into the people we're meant to be." And so Elias retired from the sea, content in the knowledge that he had passed on his wisdom and love for the ocean to the next generation. He watched as Thomas sailed the salty maiden into the horizon, knowing that the legacy of the old fisherman would live on in the young captain. As the years rolled by, Elias spent his days on the shores of Harbor's End, gazing out at the endless sea, the source of his strength and the keeper of his most cherished memories. And whenever a young fisherman sought his guidance, he would share the story of a storm, a miraculous catch, and the enduring bond between a master and his apprentice, reminding them that the sea had a way of teaching life's most valuable lessons.